Hello, I am Xarxa. I am not Trafalgar or Albert. As there has again been a lack of streams to upload, I thought I would take a small bit of your time to talk about someone and something. This is a thematic sequel to a video I posted in January. I am continuing the censorial discussion on Charles XII, King of the Swedes, Goths, and Wends, from 1697 until his death in 1718. By his contemporaries and later writers, him and his circumstance have often been compared to Alexander the Great, as he too was a young king, left an army by his father, who was personally austere, and went to conquer a larger eastern enemy. Though while Alexander succeeded in conquering Persia and beyond, Charles XII ultimately could not emulate him. Some authors have blamed this on Charles's unwillingness to compromise for peace, referring to his most famed quote, "Jag har beslutat att aldrig starta ett avrättelseskrig och aldrig avsluta ett rättskrig utan att besegra mina fiender," which means in English, "I have resolved to never start an unjust war, and to never end a just war except by defeating my enemies." His reasoning, in essence, was that any peace treaty where Sweden is not in the absolutely dominant position, where Sweden's enemies were not soundly defeated, would eventually lead to hostilities with the defeated powers again. One needs only to look at the Versailles Treaty of 1918 and the revanchism of Germany afterwards. Further, some authors blame Sweden's fall on this unwillingness to make peace. Though I will refer to my point in the previous video, it would have been wholly unlike Charles XII to submit his kingdom and his people to the whims of foreign powers. His neutrality during the Spanish succession crisis before the war is an example. Going back to Alexander, though the circumstances were of course much different, it is hard to think Alexander would have compromised with the Persians after so much effort and life was put to the task. Alexander believed himself to be the son of Zeus and Achilles, from the divine and the ancient hero. Charles XII was not a child of Zeus, nor an Achillean scion, yet his character was similar. A champion of his country, the great conquering young king, set upon a Herculean task. Here the actions of the hero align, no matter when or where one emerges. Alexander believed his own destiny was to conquer the world in honor of his divine father, though he was fated to die in Babylon. Your destiny is done by great effort, while fate will be, no matter the wants of man. This is the essence of what I refer to as the hero, one who pursues destiny, greatness, or something else immaterial, eschewing splendor and comfort. In 1818, on the 100th anniversary of Charles's death, the Swedish professor Xarxa-ALHRUIB wrote a poem in honor of him, which was set to music and performed. The themes are quite relevant to this, I think. I will read it in the native Swedish and then my translation to English. It is quite long, so I will put timestamps on screen. Kung Karl den unge hjälte, han står i rök och damm. Han drog sitt svärd från bälte och bröt i stridan fram. Hur svenska stålet bitter, kom, låt oss pröva på. Ur vägen moskovitar, frisk mår i gossar blå. Och en mot till oss ställes, av retad Vasason. Där flede var ej fälldes, det var hans lärospån. Tre konungar till hoppa, Esri var bylten bud. Lugn stod han mot Europa, en skägglös dundergud. Gråhårad statskonstnade, de snarar ut med häst. Den höge jingeln sålde, ett år och snaren brast. Högbarmad, smärt, gullhårig, en ny aurora kom. Från kämpe 20-årig, hon vände och hör om. Där slog så stort ett hjärta ut i hans svenska barm, i glädje som i smärta, blott för det reta varm. I med och morton lika, synlyckas överman. Han kunde icke vecka, blad falla kunde han. Se nattens stjärnor blossa på graven länge sen, och 100-årig massa betäcker hjältens ben. Det härliga på jorden, förgängligt är dess lott. Hans minne uti Norden är snart en saga blott. Dock en till sagan lyssnar det gamla sagoland, och dvärgalåten tystnar mot resan efterhand. En bor i Nordens lundar, den höga anden kvar. Han är i dö, han blundar, hans blund ett säkel var. Böja Svea, knä vid griftan, din storste son dröms det är. Läs nöterminnesskriften, den hjältedikt är hon är. Med blåtart huvud stegar historien ditt och lär, och svenska äran vigar sin segerfana där. Now the English. King Carl, the young hero, he stood in smoke and ash. He drew his sword from his belt and went off to war. How the Swedish steel bites! Come, let us prove ourselves. Out of the way, Muscovites, a courageous youth in blue. And one was set against 10 by the tested son of Vasa. Those not taught fled, for war he was taught. 3 kings joined forces to erase this youth's will. Calm he stood against Europe, a beardless god of thunder. Grey-haired ministers laid snares with all haste. The tall youth spoke one word and the trap broke. Solid, slender, blonde, a new Aurora comes. From 20 years of battle she went unheard of. There beat so great a heart from his Swedish chest, and joy so too in pain, only warmed for by his right. In both the good and bad alike, his fortune's master. He could not yield, he could only fall. See the night stars blaze on the grave from long ago, and 100 years of moss covers the hero's bones. The glorious on earth, fleeting are the fates. His memory in the north is soon to be only a saga. Yet listen still to the old saga, the old fairy tale land, and the dwarf song falls silent against the journey of time. There lives in the northern groves the high spirit still. He is not dead, he rests his eyes, he blinks, and a century turns. Bend, Svea, kneel by the grave. Your greatest son lays there. Read the Steely's old engraving. Your heroic poem it is. With a clear mind rises history there and teaches, and Swedish honor gathers her victory's banners there. Alas, the hero could not slay the dragon. No matter how much effort he is given, some things cannot be done. Charles certainly knew of Alexander in the comparison, and he no doubt reflected on that towards the end, after it all went so very wrong. I intend to post this video on the 17th of June, which would be Charles's 344th birthday. In honor of him and his memory, I encourage you to be kind, to always try to better yourself, and to be strong to protect what or who you love, for that is what he would want. Vila I frid, Karl XII.